I'm going to break protocol and do what media is doing now, since we
Do it.
got this nice fancy letter as former players that we were not to talk about what we saw at practice, and then I go on Twitter and I see nothing but play-by-play action by our media beat, and I thought to myself, who better to talk about stuff than a guy who's actually, you know, who was an X and the O, as opposed to guys who just watch it. But what you're seeing right now, I'll say this: if I have to compare Jacksonville, right? So this time last year, my namesake, who's in the car with me, made one of the most telling comparison in FSU beat history. He asked me, Dad, are we going to go see a college team or we're going to go see a high school team? And I was just really just, and he's a kid who's been around football on every level. He's been in high school, college, and pro based upon my profession. Well, I've noticed it in the spring, and I noticed it again when I was at practice, is that I'm no longer one of the largest individuals on the field. These guys are pretty darn big, and they're pretty explosive. And I I have to like when I went to the practices in Jacksonville, I made a statement. I was like, I'm not sure if Jermaine Johnson is that good or if we're that bad. And it turned out that a little bit of both were true. But now I'm looking at Jared Verse and I'm seeing the offensive line be exponentially better. And Jared Verse is having an impact on me with my eyes, similar to what Jermaine Johnson had. And then you see some, but again, you see them getting steps. It's still very much so not complete. All I can say is that they are a better team than they were last year, which is could be spooky. It could give you hope because the reality is last year's team, though you are what your record states, they very well should have been a 7-5 team as opposed to a 5-7 ball club. So if this team is better, 8 wins isn't out of the question. And I'm still of the old school Florida State mentality. I just can't wake up afraid of Wake Forest. Even before Sam Hartman went down, I just can't wake up. I played against NC State with Phillip Rivers, and we still didn't clear these guys. So while these teams are much improved, and we aren't the dynasty era Bowden teams, there's only one true ass whipping that Florida State took last year, and that was the Wake Forest. Everything else, they were in the game up until the latter parts of it. So if this team is better, it could. I'm not telling. Like I had a friend who was really trolling, who said Big Game says we're going 11-1, so we're going 11-1. That's not the case. But I do believe that this is an 8 or 9 win team, and with that being said, they can actually do some stuff, and that's where this. That's really where not the standard per se. That's just really where the expectations should lie. And basically, as we do with the Jazz, playing meaningful games in November, like feeling like you actually have a chance to go to a bowl game and not lose hope. But it's all about where Jordan Travis's legs and arm takes us. He has taken another step as a passer, but he's still very athletic. And what comes with having an athletic quarterback is sometimes they may rely on their legs a little bit too much. But he is better than he was at this point last year with better receivers.